What's up, everybody, and welcome back to A Beer a Day with TK. It's a nice, cool fall afternoon, and I'm hanging out in the beer shed, getting ready to check out a new beer. If you saw the Pliny video, you know I did 3 videos today that I recorded. Started off with Pliny the Elder, absolute legend of a beer. I'm moving on to the Puddlers row, and then the final one I'll do is a Fireball Apple. I have to do this last as I feared it would destroy my palate, and I definitely wanted to do this without having any other beers or anything weird first that might change the flavor for me. So, this beer was actually sent out to me by Wayne Allen. I really appreciate him taking the time to send this to me. This is a beer I never would have been able to find out here. So this is, like I said, Puddlers Row ESB. It looks like they do a couple of different Puddlers Row, but this one's an extra special bitter. And this is from Conshohocken Brewing Company. And Conshohocken is a little town right outside of Philly, my hometown. But I've never, well, I guess I did have a couple of their beers that people sent to me, but back in the day when I lived there, I'd never seen any of their beers, or they might not even have existed back then. I think I left in 2007, so I'm not sure when these guys popped up. Anyway, this beer seems to have done pretty well. It's got a couple of medals. I saw one, the last one I guess was 2018 silver medal at the World Beer Cup. So pretty decent chops there if they're winning awards for it on the largest of scales, right? Now, this one comes in at 5.4% ABV. Couldn't find the IBUs anywhere, but I'm really hyped to try this. ESBs are a style that I quite like and I think are criminally underrated. You don't really see too many of them. I think back in the day, I probably mentioned this before, my dad is from England. I remember going over to England and trying bitters for the first time, some of these ESBs, and it was not like the beers I'd had. I mean, in college I drank Yingling. Most of my friends drank Bud Miller Coors, Rolling Rock, or 40s of whatever malt liquor, but I'd never had anything like that. It was a little bit different. So whenever I see one, I get a little nostalgic and think back to, what would have been mid-90s or something, heading over to England and trying this style. So, I have a little bit of a blurb here. Puddlers Row Extra Special Bitter is a classic English-style ale with a mellow roasted flavor that's rounded out by a toffee-like caramel sweetness. Puddlers Row is well balanced between English malts and European hops. Oh, and again, we have these World Beer Cup medals are both on the side. So they won, I think it's 2016 and 2018, I believe is what they said they won. 5.4% ABV. I don't see any IBUs on it. As far as ratings, does pretty good. Untapped, 3.6. Beer Advocate, 3.73. 84, good overall. Now, I'm going with my Hockershore München Munich glass. I told you, Slurpy Dave been giving me a hard time about my glassware, so I'm stepping it up, breaking out all the cool glasses. Not for the Fireball. That's going in the jam jar, Dave. Sorry, man. I can't put that in one of these great ones. All right, let's take a look at this thing. If I break out my chart here, this is probably maybe like an 18 or a 19. This is a Brew HQ SRM chart, so standard reference method, helps us with the color. I'd probably say maybe 18, 19. It's kind of a amber brown. It's not quite brown, like darker brown. Has that bit of an amber hue to it, but very nice looking beer. As far as the bubbles, there's a few stray ones in there, but nothing too much. Head look pretty decent. It's kind of a caramel flavor in and of itself. It's probably a finger or so, but it started to dissipate a little. Looks pretty solid. Let's give it a sniff. It's a nice smelling beer. See how chilly it is out here? When I breathed in, it fogged up my glasses. So all summer long, I complained about the heat. And now, after our 1 week of fall is over, we go straight to winter. I'm going to have to get a small heater. Smells nice. You pick up some maltiness. You pick up maybe a tiny bit of a hoppy presence, but for the most part, it's kind of a caramel malt smell. Excuse me. All right, let's go in. Check it out. Thanks again, Wayne, for picking this up. Greatly appreciate it. Medium bodied. The first thing that I noticed is kind of the caramel sweetness. You definitely pick up some roasty malt. Kind of has like a nice nutty, earthy taste as well. It's pretty solid. ESBs, like I said, underrated, criminally underrated style. I think, for me at least, I think they're pretty sessionable. It's a nice balance of maltiness and hoppiness, and then sometimes you get a little bit of that dark fruit or a caramel flavor in there as well, and it works really well. Yeah, I mean, that's all the stuff I'm picking up there. Probably a little bit of fruitiness, a little bit of malty sweetness, but caramel kind of sweetness. You pick up a little bit of like roasted malt. You pick up a tiny bit of hoppiness, bitterness, but it's not over the top. It's like a nice bitterness. I think some people might get scared away from these because they say extra special bitter. And people say like, oh, I don't want a bitter beer. It's not bitter. It's rounding out the malty sweetness, and this is a pretty good example. I mean, I can see why these guys have won a couple of silver medals on the global stage there, because this is a really good example of an ESB. Thrilled to be able to check it out. Puddlers Row ESB, Conshohocken Brewing, bringing it back to Philly with a big thumbs up. Would definitely drink another one of these. Thanks again, Wayne, for sharing this. This is a gem. Really enjoy this one. If you like the videos, please give me a thumbs up. Hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit subscribe. And as always, you got any comments or questions, jump in down below. Have you had any other Conshohocken beers? I know I had I think they had a Freddy Krueger one. I had that. I had this. Maybe one other that Pete sent me a while back. Seems to be a decent brewery, man. I'm going to have to go out and visit these guys one of these days. Hey, till next time. Cheers.